Former presidential candidate and tech entrepreneur Andrew Yang is the latest to join the race for mayor. He's been pushing for new ideas to rebuild the city's economy, to improve public education, financial assistance for low-income New Yorkers, and is behind the idea of city control for the MTA. He joins me now to discuss his campaign. Andrew, good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Morning, Pat. It's great to be here.
You ran this idea of a presidential campaign based on transformational big ideas, different thinking. City government, you got pothole repairs, and you got PTA meetings, and you got complaints about trash not being picked up. Can you make that shift to that local level of politics?
I love this question so much, Pat, because a lot of people might not realize I ran a small business right here in New York City. And any small business owner knows it's all about getting things done in the nuts and bolts every day. Your customers don't care about much except, like you said, getting that pothole filled or getting their garbage picked up. So that actually is my background and the way I approach most problems.
You've criticized the city's vaccination efforts, calling it poorly designed. Where was the failure there? Was the failure a month ago? Was the failure 6 months ago? How do you get ahead of something like that so that you don't end up in the situation we're at now, where somebody thinks they have an appointment for Tuesday until Monday when they don't have an appointment anymore?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of accountability to go around. It does start with the Trump administration that completely botched the vaccination rollout, just sort of left it to the states. But then we had the state and the city not on the same page. There were different criteria for a period. And most damagingly, as you just said, the actual supply of the vaccine to New York City has been below the demand. And so they've been forced to cancel these appointments, which is incredibly frustrating. New York City was the original epicenter of this pandemic. It's the most densely populated city in our country. If anyone should be guaranteed the supply of the vaccine, it should be us.
Andrew, New Yorkers got a jolt at the beginning of your campaign here after you did an interview with the New York Times where you talked about having difficulty imagining spending the entire pandemic in a two-bedroom apartment. I assume that's the apartment that you're in right now.
Yeah, and I think most people realize, Pat, this quote was taken out of context in print. I know that families are struggling in ways big and small right now. I think about it every single day. I've been doing everything I can to help, whether it's campaigning for Joe and Kamala, which I did for months, or helping flip the Senate by campaigning in Georgia and demoting Mitch McConnell, making Chuck Schumer our new majority leader, which is going to pay huge dividends for both the city and the state of New York.
But how are you going to get past that idea that you had your attention elsewhere at a time when others, you've got people like Eric Adams and Scott Stringer who have been very active in politics at the local level, haven't set their sights elsewhere. How do you push back to them? Is that going to come out in debates? Where will we see that message, and where will you have a chance to convince voters that you are all in for New York City now?
Oh, Pat, I've been getting tremendous responses here in New York. Most people here in New York know I've been fighting for the people, for the working class Americans who've been left behind. And the proof is really going to be in how I campaign, get out to communities every single day. But right now, New York City needs a problem solver who's going to be solutions oriented, focused on delivering results, is not bound by some of the politics that have been holding back our city for far too long. I think that case is going to resonate with many, many New Yorkers.
On that topic, day one, if you were elected, what would you do to deliver on those ideas?
Well, a lot of governance is about team. It's about bringing in the right people. And one of the joys of this campaign has been meeting some of the phenomenal people, both inside and outside of government, who want to help. So we need to get those people in positions to succeed. And one of the things that people will find about me is that I love building and empowering teams. I don't care who gets the credit. I just want to get the job done. Again, if you think of me as a small business owner, that's actually a pretty good frame, because if you're in a small business, you don't have time for politics or people trying to take credit. You just need to get work done.
When I look at the relationship between the mayor and the governor and the fact that they often seem to be out of alignment, that's an important relationship that has to be repaired in the next round of mayoralty in New York City. Have you been in touch with Andrew Cuomo? Do you think you can work with Andrew Cuomo?
I can 100% work with the governor. And the fact is, our interests are nearly 100% aligned. There is no national recovery without a New York recovery. And New York City is one of the main economic drivers of the entire state by any measurement. So the governor and the mayor need to be working to make the case to the feds that New York and New York City are vital to the nation's eventual comeback. And I can make that case more powerfully than any other candidate in this race. I am friendly with the president, the vice president, the incoming secretary of transportation. I will be the governor's friend and ally in making sure New York gets its fair share.
What's been the reaction on the streets? You know, it's so different in this COVID campaign, but when you have been out at your limited campaign events, when you've been out meeting New Yorkers, are they excited about the chance of bringing some of your ideas to this race? And are you able to explain those ideas in those short conversations on the street?
Well, I haven't been doing a lot of explaining of my ideas when I meet people on the street. But I think, Pat, if you saw me, you'd be like, hey, it's Andrew Yang. And then we like elbow bump and have a quick exchange. There's a lot of excitement around this campaign, really by any measurement. We've had over 2,000 people sign up to volunteer for the campaign, which I think is an outstanding sign of the enthusiasm right here in New York. We just need to solve some problems and get things done.
Who's your number one competitor in this race?
I genuinely think my number one competitor in this race is the sense from New Yorkers that we're just going to keep doing things the same way and expect different results. Like right now, we need to have a different, more optimistic and solutions-oriented approach to government. And a lot of New Yorkers have been beaten down to expect not that much from our government. So that, I think, is the biggest thing I have to defeat, is let people know that better things are possible and that we can have a government that's working on our behalf, that's transparent, and is apolitical in terms of just delivering results.
That was a diplomatic answer, Andrew, to a question. I was looking for a name there, but understood.
Almost like a politician, Pat. Like, who knew?
All right, good to have you with us this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. It's a pleasure.
Put the money in our hands. Put the money in our hands. Put the money in our hands. Put the money in our hands.
Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.